Are you muted down there?
And then just hit that red arrow up top. Yep. And then go down to the bottom right and enlarge it. It's right here. And just enlarge the PowerPoint slide. Right. Next one over. Right there. Yep. And then you can use this.
Good morning, everyone. 6:30.
Hey. I just got 6:30.
Code of conduct this week is maintain respectful behavior whenever one is working, driving a company vehicle, or wearing the company logo. You're always representing this company. Safety news, we have 41 days without a recordable injury. Flu shots are coming. We're trying to get that scheduled so we can do it in the back room like we did last year. Personal protective equipment, hard hats, eye protection, hearing protection, and appropriate clothing. It's getting dark out. We need to make sure we have our vest on or high vis while we're out back or in between buildings here so we're highly visible. All employees are responsible for wearing appropriate protective equipment when there is exposure to hazard conditions and inspection and maintenance. So we can take our hard hats and do the bend and see if it's going to crack or if we have any problems with it, then we can turn it in and get a new one, or just inspect your guts to make sure that we're in good working condition. It's a 5-year thumb rule of getting it changed out. T-shirts are long sleeve safety vests when working on or near the roadway, full length pants, work boots, steel toe, and gloves should be worn whenever working in situations where danger of cuts, scrapes, abrasions, and other hand injury exists. So we are getting the cold weather. We want to make sure that you guys have got the appropriate gloves out there to help with the cold too. Hearing protection, earmuffs, earplugs must be worn in all areas where sound levels exceed 85 decibels. We have the hammer jacks, the chipping, chainsaws, cutting of the saw, compactors, the ditch witch, etc. And we do have a vacuum out there where it's required to wear hearing protection because it is loud. There's been a question about the ECI apparel. So winter beanies are in. I'm sure you've seen some on everyone. And the sweatshirts are $25 this year. If anyone has questions or interested, just let me know. Any questions?
Thanks, Alberta. You remember the PPE is the last line of defense. First line of defense is avoid the risk and the hazard.
Yep.
Okay, good morning. Kind of different to be in daylight savings time. It's like everything's turned upside down. Start out in the light and end in the dark versus the other way around last week. So got to kind of adjust our thinking to our planning that way too, and kind of be prepared the night before for the morning to start out fresh and in the light. So corporate announcements, payroll is due early because we get the short week of Thanksgiving. It's kind of out of order. I'll put this down, report this one next. The Thanksgiving holidays are Thursday and Friday. That's a week from next Thursday and Friday, the 23rd and the 24th. And then for an upcoming 401k advisor meeting will be held on December 8th. I'm not sure, is that a Friday? Usually it's a Friday. But let Sarah know if you want an appointment. Open enrollment is coming for health and dental programs. So if you're not on healthcare or dental, if you don't automatically take it when you're first employed, if you deny it then, you have to wait until the renewal period. And this renewal period is coming up. So that's look for announcements. And then find the bottom one here. Skipping this Thanksgiving one. The cold weather is here. So don't forget to winterize your equipment, fuel treatment, make sure pumps and anything containing water is drained and antifreeze if it's required. So we have Veterans Day coming up tomorrow, the official Veterans Day. And you have a picture here of Kevin Sheehan, and Kevin was our most honored veteran. He was killed in action May 25th, 2005. So he was an employee of VCI's. He left. He was also a member of the Vermont National Guard. He went to Iraq, and sadly, he was killed in action. So we've got to remember Kevin. He's our most honored veteran, and anyone else who's currently, or once you're a veteran, you're a veteran. But who do we have for veterans here? We got, Tommy's one. We got George, Luke. Who else we got? We got Jeff. Got a few others there. Well, certainly happy Veterans Day, and I know that there's certain things. I think I saw that the Outback has free lunch or something. I don't know which. It might have been a weekday, but there's things like that available for veterans. Also, I have hockey tickets. I don't know if anyone's trying to contact me for tonight's game. It's UVM Catamounts versus the Boston College Eagles. And if you were the first to respond, I don't think anyone did. And I also said that, if you're a veteran, I certainly would put you to the front of the line. I don't see anything yet on that stuff. Should be an interesting game tonight. UVM still has a lot of potential this year. They're not off to a great start, but they had the potential, and just never know when teams come into the gut. So technical tips this week, we're still talking about measuring distances, and this is an auto level, a non-laser device. A lot of the high-tech stuff is it seems like always your preferred go-to, but I often like to use the auto level. We own several of them. They're used to establish grade across greater distances and with more accuracy. And also, you need to kind of close your loops and make sure that your instrument is still on. So sometimes, like the closing loop would mean to start at your benchmark, get all your readings, and then at the end of your process, go back to that benchmark, make sure your numbers are the same. So one of the advantages of the regular auto level, it's an optical system, of course, is that you get to go read an actual grade depth immediately. So unlike where you have the laser and you have the receiver, you go out and the advantage with the laser is one-man operation typically. You would move up or down your laser receiver and adjust and calculate where your grade is. The advantage of the laser is really when you have a constant grade, you can go and just check grades everywhere. And it's one shot, one guy going beep, beep, beep. And when we have a slope and we don't know what the slope is or the elevation at different points, it's a lot easier typically just to go and shoot that, get an actual level shot on your grade rod. A little bit different. It's not quite as handy for layout because it requires a second person, but it is kind of more efficient when you're doing a kind of check to see what you have for grades in different locations at different grades. So we also have a reference sheet to the TopCon device. So for projects, we're profiling the Velco Fairfax substation improvements. Back in 2015, we were contracted with Velco to perform improvements at the Fairfax substation, including replacement of footings on the lattice towers. And the full scope included grounding and a catchment system for the transformer oils, excavation for new footings, which was this later work that we just recently completed, installing the support during that operation and new foundations. So work was put on hold back in 2015, and finally we were able to get back and complete this remaining lattice tower foundation change outs and repairs, replacements really. And it involved an underpinning operation. So there was the existing set of them that there was basically a three-dimensional truss with towers that came down in a truss, and another one I guess you can't really see. Actually, you can tell there's one back there, but it's basically where the wires come in, where the high voltage lines come in one direction, and so they're being pulled, and then there's just a big structure which has tower legs, and it comes back. So this is only a set of like 4 set of legs. And then with the lines coming in, there's a lot of pull. And then also usually changes directions or drops down into the substation at those locations. So the existing piers had been probably, 40 years old or something like that. And they had, kind of gotten old and decayed. And so we excavated them out away from the earth, away from the piers. And then we put in these underpinning posts so that we took the load from that leg and transferred it over to the ground. And then we removed and rebuilt each one of those piers in kind of a systematic way, so we didn't take all the supports out at once, and provided that temporary underpinning. Shoring is redundant to extra support while that footing was demolished and replaced. Kind of an interesting job. It was good to get back to that one. And then here from the archives, we have the Vernon, or the VY, that's Vermont Yankee substation. And that's in Vernon, of course. And we did some mostly grounding improvements, I recall. Is John here? John Zeno? Oh. Does anyone recall? I think it was mostly grounding improvements, maybe some cable trays, conduit. Yeah.
That was an existing.
That was inside an existing substation. Vermont Yankee. There's the Vermont Yankee containment building in the background.
There's a lot of live stuff.
Yep, it was all live work. So the machine is grounded out.
Yeah.
Interesting job. That was 2009. So that's what we got. Have a good, safe day out there, and good luck deer hunting tomorrow.
Stay safe in the woods.
Yep.
Ariel Frenier. Reggio Valley. Jesse Littlefield. Brian Martell. Zach Cowan. Eric Merman. Hey, Matt.